northern New Mexico and Chimayo and Espinoza in that area, we have the, walks that they do, the drug walks. I think they just had one. I missed it. But, in my past, I've gone on these walks, and what you do is you walk from the San Juan Church to the Santuario, and you pick up heroin needles. What would you do to curtail or help the situation? Because we have such high rate of heroin overdoses, and I know families that are impacted. And so, you speak of programs. What could we do to help this area once and for all?
Well, that's a great question, because specifically there's a pilot program in Santa Fe. And Rio Arriba also has Delancey Street, which I'll get to. But, this pilot program in Santa Fe is called the LEAD program. And the acronym stands for a Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. And I've actually gone to their training because it really interested me. It's a pragmatic approach to long-term treatment, which is what I have been a proponent of and what I research quite a bit, because the numbers are much more successful. The success rate's higher than your 30-day program. And that's not to say that these 30-day programs the intention isn't there and that they don't help individuals, but it's 8% success rate that they're seeing, as opposed to these long-term treatment facilities like LEAD. And so what LEAD does is law enforcement, specifically Santa Fe Police Department, they identify these habitual offenders, these nonviolent drug offenders, and they say, okay, this person has been going in and out of the criminal justice system.
And once you're in, it's hard to get out.
It's hard to get out, exactly. So they identify them, they refer them to a board for review, and the board will approve or deny these individuals. Now, it's been in place for 3 years, and after there's been 70 people that have been placed in. Of those 70, 60 are still in the program, and what the program does is it's a public safety model. So here's what some people dislike about it, that it does allow somebody to take methadone and Suboxone to sort of wean them off of the addiction of heroin. And in doing that, they're also ensuring that they're going to counseling, that they're receiving their treatment, that they have a sponsor that they can call when they're having the strong desires to go back to heroin. It also provides some assistance, and this is where the partnership with the city and the county come in. Provides some assistance for housing, some assistance for foods for if they have children. And so, in the past 3 years, of the 70 people placed in, 60 are still there. That's a much higher success rate, or at least retention rate. And although the numbers aren't there, the studies that I've read show that the numbers will be higher, much higher than that 8% with the 30-day programs. And that's where I'm saying these long-term treatment programs.
How
now,
impressive.
And it's very impressive. And what I would want to do is I would want to expand the LEAD program to the northern part of our district in Rio Arriba County, also to Los Alamos. Now, Los Alamos doesn't have as much of a crime rate, but they still have those issues. So I don't see why we wouldn't put it there as well. So I want to help out the entire district. And this is actually a program that I think the entire state should take a look at and try to implement. But I am obviously focused at the district. Now, Delancey Street, that's another long-term approach
Right, we
program.
just interviewed them on the program as well.
Oh, well, great. So then your listeners, you all have heard that it's a great program. And I've been to Delancey Street.
It's a great facility.
And it's a beautiful facility, a gorgeous, gorgeous facility that I'm actually going to be at a wedding there in September, now that I think about it. But I've talked to some of the people that are in the program, and not only are they providing them with the treatment, providing them with the bed, taking them out of the friends that are encouraging this drug use, but they're giving them jobs working with their moving company.
Right.
All those trees that people see, Delancey Street trees, that's Delancey Street. They're the ones that are, cutting the trees for you and making the wreaths for you, loading them onto your car. These are all individuals who are in their program, and in some cases it becomes a 2-year program from them, and they have a great success rate. So these are the types of programs that I want to help implement, that I want to encourage more funding towards. Now, I know my office, we can't fund it all, but what I can do is I can partner with our local business leaders, with our local elected officials, with our county officials, to seek out grant monies to put towards these programs, because in my opinion, we should have just as many beds for treatment facilities as we do in our jails and our prison systems.
That's a good point. You know, you worked in the district attorney's office, and I'm wondering what, for the person that doesn't really know, you know, a lot of people don't even know what, you know, Public Regulation Commissioner does for them. What does a district attorney do, and what kind of staff do you have? If you had to describe the position to somebody that couldn't distinguish between a judge or a DA or an AG, because it's all law and it's all related.
Yes.
Yeah. What does that office position entail?
Well, so the district attorney is required to wear many hats, because he or she is essentially the lead law enforcement official in the district, because we're the ones that will pursue the prosecution and determine whether or not we're going to pursue prosecution. So as the district attorney, there's two avenues that I like to talk about. One is the administrative office side, and the other is the policy implementation on prosecution side. So I'll start off with the office.
Okay.
Excuse me. So in Santa Fe, there are approximately, or the first judicial district, there are approximately 76 employees. Of those employees, that's the district attorney, of course, deputy district attorneys, senior trial attorneys, and then trial attorneys, which are the misdemeanor prosecutors, and our community crime 4th degree felony prosecutors. So those all are primarily exempt employees. Now, the support staff, those are usually permanent employees unless it's a grant, and then it becomes a term employment. So, for instance, support staff would include legal secretaries, any clerks, special investigators who are typically prior law enforcement officers who have that investigative background, and then we have victim advocates, because under the Victims Crimes Act, we as an office are required, and even without that act, I would still implement this, but luckily there is an act to ensure that all district attorneys have victim advocates, to ensure that we have, we're providing services to our victims of crimes, whether it be violent, sexual assault, DWI, that we make sure they have the resources that are available to them, with counseling, with assistance. If it's a domestic violence case, for instance, we'll team them up with a nonprofit that can provide housing for a little bit to get them out of the situation, help to get them, find them jobs. So these are all what encompasses the district attorney's office as the office. Now, as the district attorney, what my job would be also is to collaborate with local agencies, with our local police departments, to make sure that we have an open line of communication, that we are all on the same team.
All agencies?
All agencies.
County,
so all
city, state?
County, city, state, and so, for instance, New Mexico State Police. Well, it's a statewide agency, but we have state police that work within the district, and all from Santa Fe all the way up to Chama. That's our district. So any state police officers, the sergeants, I would have an open line of communication with them, and also ensure that they know what our office is doing, because I can't tell you how many times I talk to officers who say, I don't know why I gave the office this great case, and then it goes to arraignment, and then it's pled out the next time, and I have no idea what's going on. And that really frustrates them, because they put a lot of hard work into their investigations. So I want to make sure that my office and my prosecutors are saying, listen, this is why we're doing what we're doing. There could have been an issue with evidence, with the statement of a witness, and that's why we went from a 3rd degree to a 4th degree felony and pled it to probated sentence, because we wouldn't have been able to prove at that point. And so that's the communication I want to provide, not only to the officers, but also to the public, because I think that there needs to be more transparency within the office, so that the public knows why I'm making decisions the way I'm making them, because they deserve to know.
Sure.
And now, with regard to the policies of the office, last night we spoke about officer-involved shootings, because, as you know, I respect officers a great deal. But unfortunately, there are instances where officers are involved in a shooting and there's a fatality, and the public wants to know what happened. Well, what I proposed and what I will implement within the first 100 days of my office is that we have a collective independent agency that will investigate these crimes with the Attorney General's office or the state police and garner that partnership, so it'll be an independent investigation for those crimes.
Tell me something before we run out of time. What would your priorities be for the next 4 years?
Okay, so my priority...
And then I want to know what your first 100 days is going to look like.
Okay, great. Well, so my priorities would be to implement these policies, so to implement new policies. One, with the office, to train our new attorneys to make sure that there are supervisors in magistrate court to help them, and also that have authority to plea cases that we're going to plea. And same goes for district court. Then, with regard to policies, my domestic violence policy would be at the misdemeanor level to have a diversion program to implement a counseling program to offenders, hold the count over their head, but have them go through this counseling to stop the recidivism rate of domestic violence. And of course, for nonviolent drug offenders, my policy would be is in our sentencing seeking treatment and seeking long-term treatment, so we ensure that they're receiving that benefit from our office, because I feel that is a just way of handling prosecution in a compassionate way. And then, of course, being tough on violent crimes, crimes against children, sexual assault. And I will implement all of those policies within the first 100 days in office, so that it's not coming out 4 or 5 months after the fact. I would cultivate those relationships with the local agencies, with the Attorney General's office, with the state police, to ensure that they can be implemented as soon as possible.
Interesting, very good. So, if you had the last couple of minutes to talk about yourself and talk to the public, what would you have to say?
Okay. Well, again, my name is Marco Serna, and I'm running for district attorney, and I hope you've listened to what I've talked about, because I'm very passionate about these policies that I want to put in place. You know, I have family and friends who have been affected by addiction and who have gotten into trouble with the law, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people and that we need to stigmatize them as criminals, because it's the addiction that we need to focus on. And once we focus and can combat that addiction, we will see a decline in crime across the board. In addition, I am from this community. I'm vested in this community. My family has been here for generations, so I want to earn the right to serve you all in the capacity as district attorney. And I will have an open door policy if there are any issues with my office, to please come talk to me, so that I can not only hear what your issues are, but explain to you why my office is doing what we're doing, and come to an agreement or make changes. If you notice that something's wrong and I agree that it's wrong, we'll make those changes. I will have an open, or I'll have a collaborative effort with our local police agencies, with our courts, to ensure that we are efficient, and that we give just, compassionate, and tough prosecution where it's needed.
Outstanding. So we have a little time, but I was wondering what would differentiate you, just to close in 30 seconds or less, what would differentiate you from your opposition?
I think what would differentiate me is not only the policies that I've mentioned to the public just now, but that I actually have plans, or the plans set to implement that. And that's why I bring up the first 100 days, because those policies are already going to be set in place, and the objective of getting there will be set in place. With regard to the officer-involved shootings, I'm the only candidate who actually has a plan that is set in place that I will implement. In addition, my experience as a prosecutor, I have the most recent trial experience. I have the most recent experience in Medicaid fraud and elder abuse, and I have great experience coming out of the 13th in helping to run a district attorney's office administratively and in the court systems.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and I wish you luck. And I know it's difficult getting out there, knocking on
Yeah, it
doors
is.
and asking for support, but I wish you luck. And if you're wanting to come back and appear on the program
I would
before
love
the
to come
time
back.
comes, before, what is the date, June 7th?
June 7th.
I should know that.
Yes.
So anyhow, thank you so much for being here. I wish you all the
appreciate it.
luck. And with that, I'm going to welcome and thank the college, but also welcome anybody that wants to be on our program to call our office at 827-4533 and get on the show and get in the hot seat. Thank
Well,
you for listening, and thank you for being here again.
Thank you, Bill.